Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? June 2nd. Tuesday, I think. I actually don't know. I think it's Tuesday. Anyways, June 2nd, financial news. Again, we do this every day, right around 7:30 or so, before I do a series of interviews on real estate a couple of times a day. Today's news just, kind of all over the place. We got Stitch Fix. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're basically I don't know, a designer, if you will. They've taken the unusual approach. They actually are going to be laying off 1,400 people in California, and they're going to be hiring 2,000 people throughout the United States and potentially the world. Just it's cheaper. It is cheaper to hire talent in other places. This is likely a trend that could very easily pick up steam. This stay from home, work from home order we have heard. We have often thought about technology companies who are then, their employees could make the choice to move. What you have Stitch Fix now saying is, you know what? We're going to let go of these 1,400 and we're going to, over the course of time, hire 2,000 back. Probably not a great way to build loyalty among your employees, obviously. They are obviously suffering. They have laid off roughly 18% of the company, or 8,000 people here since this health event has started. So they are clearly struggling to survive. But it is an interesting trend. It's the first time I've heard of it. It makes total financial sense, right? If you look at the bottom line. Again, I don't know what it does for employee loyalty when you are a company making those kind of hard choices. But again, if you're looking at an income statement, makes sense, I think, right? So it's interesting to see what happens there. Again, laying off 14, hiring back 2,000. So it's something to watch. And again, another sign that California may not be the hotbed of technology, new companies and engineers and all of these folks. We could have seen the peak, so we'll see what happens there. Something else I'm following is you have seen me talk a lot about the differences I see this time between residential and commercial. Commercial rates, delinquency rates have tripled in the last month. They have gone from 2.3% in April to 7.4% in May. And again, commercial doesn't only mean apartment buildings. That's obviously what I look at, but it is the big bucket. So it's retail and office and industrial, pretty much anything with commercial financing. But again, that is quite the jump. And again, probably not to be unexpected, but it does point to where the stress is. I do not see the stress in residential. Early on, before they tweaked the forbearance to make it less painful, I saw a growing pain with residential. I just don't see it coming in most cities. There will obviously be some major cities whose just supply demand picture has drastically changed. So they will see pricing pain, but I don't see pricing pain in residential for most of the US, which probably a good thing, right? Again, just to prove that point on the residential side, mortgage forbearance requests, at least based on last week, has really slowed down. Really slowed down. My numbers show that there was only 7,000 new requests. So a lot of requests out the gate, but it does seem to be slowing. Obviously, it would be interesting to watch this as we now get into June and July. But again, residential and commercial seem to be on different paths, so it will be interesting. The one thing I am watching on residential is there's always been this drumbeat for years, that just wait until the baby boomers list their homes. And, it eventually will happen, right? Just life, kind of makes that happening. It is it's been talked about so long, it's almost lore, or one of those things that are out there like the boogeyman. But if baby boomers do use this as an event, right, they pulled off the market, they're going to list in mass, that that probably would be welcome, because again, what I see today is a demand supply imbalance that was horrible heading into this and even is worse now. So it is interesting to see what is going on there. But again, I'm waiting to see if listings come back. Right, we got a little bit of sign yesterday that listings are ticking up, but again, it's a national listing number. I haven't seen that in my market. Certainly not at the price points we buy. I think there's two markets today. There's the luxury and everything else, and I think most markets, the luxury it's the ice age. So it is interesting. On home prices, this is from Core Logic. This is almost, I don't know, I guess it's interesting data. It's from April and it's on prices. And it's interesting because you both have national and then you see regional differences. So real quick, looking at the numbers, April price increases, again, for residential homes was up 5.4% nationally in April. That's interesting because a lot of those contracts were signed in March, pre-health event, but not all. It does talk about inventory falling 25%. So that is interesting to see what's going on. Just so you know, the March increase, which I would consider pre-event, was up 4.5%. So the increase in April was up, I don't know if you do the math, 20%, right? 4.5 to 5.4. So interesting. Houston, Texas, came in at an 11%. That is that's a jump and a half right there. So if you're in Houston, I'd love to hear from you. That's a big number. I'd love to see what's going on in Houston. Obviously, with all the oil kind of up and down, I don't know if that's going to continue, but that did shock me. Again, CoreLogic indicated that Las Vegas, they're forecasting a 7.2% drop for a year from now, which I don't know how. I mean, I think a price drop it's very likely. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because again, as we've talked with Brian Lebo on this channel a couple of times now, there's a lot of competing forces in that market. They also called out, again, this is CoreLogic, Miami, as another market that would likely see a price drop in the next 12 months at 4.4%. So that's interesting. Next up, we got Facebook. I actually indicated yesterday in my talk that I was hearing a lot of local rumblings, right? I am 8 miles, probably 8 miles from Facebook's headquarters, have a lot of friends. I don't know, friends as a stretch, acquaintances in that area. And I indicated over the weekend they were kind of grouchy. And you saw it yesterday. They actually had a virtual walkout. I am hearing that the company is having a town hall meeting today where Zuckerberg and Sanders will be there. It will be interesting to see if there are really any hard questions asked, and I'm sure I'll hear about it later in the day, but that will be interesting to see what's going on. It does seem like, based on Zuckerberg's approach to some of the inflammatory information, at least one deal fell through. He had a 6-figure transaction lined up with a company called Talkspace. Their CEO, I, in fairness, never heard of Talkspace, don't know them, but Talkspace CEO said at the last minute we were pulling out of this transaction, which was 6 figures, because we want to show our support and don't like the decision was made. So historically speaking, when money talks, Zuckerberg pays attention. So we will see if others follow suit and what that means. Next up, just sort of company news I tracked today. Starbucks. They're asking some of their workers, or actually all their workers, to take reduced hours or take some unpaid leave. They do not forecast demand coming back in any meaningful way till September, October. So that's interesting. Southwest Airlines basically doing the same thing. They're offering some buyouts and suggesting paid leave. Southwest has never laid anybody off in 49 years, and they don't want to start now. So they're asking folks to help out. Apple has reduced the price of iPhones in China. China seems to be coming back. Again, I don't trust them. I think it's a fake economy. But again, I trust Apple. So if Apple says the demand is up, I believe them. When I say about China, it seems like iron ore, copper, cement, all of these other kind of commodity-based things are really taking off again. So probably infrastructure plays and things of that nature. But again, China's trying to flex that they're strong and they're back right when we are weak. And they're trying to poke us in the eye. So we need to realize that we have bigger things going on in the world economy. Visa is highlighting that, you know what, maybe the consumer's coming back. Again, Visa payment cards, the volume was down 18% in April, but it's now down just 5% in May. Again, not all the way back, but that's a nice jump, right? That's walking it back in the right direction, especially given that New York and California, the two largest states, aren't really open yet. So that is interesting. I've talked about SLG Realty one time before, just because they are the largest commercial office REIT in Manhattan in New York. It looks like they put out some numbers today, just because we talked about them before. I thought we would highlight. They, again, collected 89.1% of rent in April. So that's April data. Looks like it was 63.3% in retail. So that hurts. You're not paying your mortgages when you only collect 63% of rent. I'll tell you that much. But 95.1% of office. So assuming their office portfolio was almost full, that's not a horrible number. But pretty horrible for office, right? Office is pretty dependable, but frankly, better than I expected. But that was April data. May data will be interesting. So we will see what happens there. Now, again, more data, more evidence from moving companies that the well-off are leaving Manhattan, right? They are leaving New York. It is interesting, though, that we haven't seen listings spike yet. Maybe they're waiting for the summer. Maybe they're waiting for the all clear. I don't know if this is just temporary. Hey, they're going to go sign a 6-month lease somewhere else because they have the financial wherewithal to do it. Or if this is just the sign that the top 1% has had it and they're out. So it will be interesting to see. Again, talking about Vegas, looks like casinos, at least some are going to open Thursday. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. I haven't seen any protests or rioting and looting in Vegas, the Strip. I haven't looked, though, so I don't know. Maybe there has been. It will be interesting to see if the casinos do open on Thursday, if they've had some disturbances, because there are you don't want to see those things burning down. So it will be interesting to see. And then finally, I just saw, right before I went live, Mission Impossible 7. Yes, Tom Cruise is still an action hero. Go figure. He is starting up film production again and planned for September. That's still a long way away. But again, we're starting to see the other industries that were impacted by social distancing, the like, at least have plans to come back. The economy is going to come back. Generally, I think, again, everything is, if you talk about April, it will be the worst month ever. We will look at it on charts for decades to come as, oh my God, what happened? May will be better than April, and then June better than May, and July better than June. And I think that's a positive trend we can all look forward to. So that's what I got for you today. I do have a couple of interviews, one at 8 and one at 2:30, I think. So those will be fun. And just a little tease, I'm playing with an idea that I'm going to likely need your help with on around helping people get their first homes. It's an idea I've been playing with what is all going on. So this will be interesting to play with. So little tease there. I'm going to probably need your help and ideas. I've never done anything like this. Just started thinking about this last night. So I'll probably put out something later and get your thoughts on it. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.